Hello and welcome. I asked you in my Instagram story, should I upload my podcast also to YouTube? Because apparently many people are not familiar with podcasts. I know it's weird, we have 2018, but most of you, over 70%, voted for yes, so I'll do so. And I will upload my favorite old podcast, which are not really old, couple months, with my favorite guest now here also on YouTube, so people don't miss out. And today I uploaded, as you saw in the title, Derek from Simnett Nutrition, and we talk about how Derek got into veganism and calisthenics, about living in Canada, traveling, about training babies, cars, Tesla, and so much more. So you definitely don't want to miss this episode, and make sure to listen until the end, because in my outro I clarified a statement I made during the podcast. So yeah, make sure to listen until the end. And you can also listen to the Vegains podcast on your computer at SoundCloud and iTunes, and on most podcast apps, like my favorites are Overcast, Podcast and Stitcher. And if you already listened to this conversation I had with Derek, then just like this video and, watch something else on YouTube. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Vegains podcast. Today I have another special guest for you. I told you in the last interview with John Venus that I will try to get the entire Vivo Live team on board, because they're just such cool people in the team. And my next guest is Derek from Simnett Nutrition. And first of all, I want to say congratulations, because you just reached 200,000 YouTube subscribers. So congratulations. How are you doing?
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. What an introduction. I'm doing great. And yeah, that's really exciting. I think it was yesterday, my YouTube channel hit 200,000. So yeah, I'm doing really well. I'm excited about that. So yeah, things are going really well.
And how are you doing? Because you got a bad virus recently and it sounded horrible and I felt really bad for you. But
yeah.
How are you doing now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was kind of lying there. I'm not doing that well as far as that goes right now. But I'm getting over it slowly. Yeah, it was just some sort of stomach bug that I came down with, and it's really rare that I get sick. And I know you probably feel the same way. Like when eating a whole foods plant-based diet, you feel like you're almost indestructible sometimes, and then you eventually get hit with something and it just knocks me off my feet. So yeah, it was some sort of stomach bug, and just the typical symptoms that you would imagine from that, and has not been a fun few days.
Okay, so yeah. I've no doubt you will be back soon, because the vegan regeneration is quick.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, I know. I'm hoping.
Yeah, one of the first question is because I love your Ask Me Mondays on YouTube. I watch all of them, and you inspired me even to do my own one. So I started doing my own one and told my community, hey, I'm inspired by Derek to do my own Ask Me Mondays. And then I started the first one, but some people like, oh, you're copying him. And that's why I want to ask you, do you mind that I also do an Ask Me Mondays, of course with my own questions, and I also call it Ask Me Mondays because it just sounds good, Monday Ask Me or Q&A Monday just doesn't sound so good. So do you mind that?
No, you can do whatever you want. I definitely didn't. I don't think I invented that phrase. The reason it came about for me, and I'm sure you find the same way, is that a lot of people are always asking you questions like so consistently, and it's kind of nice to just have sort of one consistent video per week where you can just answer like a few questions. So I think it's great. And the more plant-based and vegan questions and questions that we can answer to help people get healthier and spread the message, and improve people's health is great. And I'm all for it. So no, I don't mind. I'm honored that you used the same name. That's cool.
Okay, thank you, because I really enjoy it. It's just a great tool, as you said, to have a schedule. And also there's so many great and funny questions, and often it doesn't make sense to make a whole video about it, but just bringing them in your Q&A is just so much fun for me as well, and I love it. And yeah, I will keep doing them, and my community loves them as well. And yeah, but yours are next level. I love it how you make kind of vlog out of it, built in nature and drone shots and your girlfriend, and it's just super nice. So keep them coming.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. I know it's really easy for me to get uploads up on the weekend, and then but I needed a couple other days throughout the week where I was holding myself accountable, and so I thought this was perfect. So yeah, it's working out for me, and it seems like it's working out for you too. Yours are great as well.
Thank you. Do you actually make them record them on Monday or on the weekend before?
Well, I record them on Sunday. I
Okay.
should do it earlier, but that's just how things work. I really wish I could get a schedule going where I was like maybe a couple videos ahead. Uh, but as soon as I'm done a video, I just want to share it with everyone, so I just
Yeah,
put it up right
exactly.
away.
That's why my posts are so like real time. I do the Ask Me Mondays on Monday, and like my Insta posts, I do them on the same day because when I have some in advance, I want to share them right away. And on each day I
Yeah,
make a new one, then I just won't post them, which I did a couple days ago, and then I don't like them even more. So that's why I love this of just uploading it now. And if it comes on Tuesday, then so be. But I love this authentic realness. So yeah, keep it on
yeah,
Sunday or just right before. And
yeah, exactly.
so guys, watch his Ask Me Mondays. And I also loved your Daily Dozen Challenge because I challenged you to do the Dr. Michael Greger Daily Dozen Challenge, and you did together with your girlfriend. It was nice. I really enjoyed that as well. So guys, check out his YouTube channel. And I got a lot of follow-up questions as well because I asked my community, hey, what do you want to know about Derek? So the first question, which you're probably so sick of hearing like every vegan is, but I got this question a lot. So the question is, would love to hear the story of how he went vegan. Would you like to share it with us?
Sure, right. I was getting ready to answer where I get my protein from.
We come
But
to that maybe later.
yeah, how did I come to be vegan? Well, you know, the short story is that I was dating a girl who was actually going to school for holistic nutrition, and I wasn't all that interested in health and nutrition. I was kind of happy, with sort of how I was living. I felt like I was living a fairly healthy lifestyle. Like I would eat, vegetables, at my meal. I would have some, and then, just the typical diet the rest of the time. And she sort of started try to encourage me to eat, us to buy more organic foods. And she wanted me to start buying more, organic cuts of meat and like the free range meat and the eggs that are, cage free eggs and that sort of stuff. And I loved animals. And, we had cats at the time and everything. And of course, I'm like, yeah, I'm all for this. Like, I'm all for helping out the animals. We didn't have a lot of money at the time. So I found that buying that kind of food got really expensive really fast. And so I started to just eat less of it. And it wasn't really my intention, to go vegan at first. But of course, my intention was to improve my, health and to be kind to the animals. So once she sort of got me on board with that, it was really easy for her to kind of like, well, I wouldn't say she didn't try to like manipulate, but she would leave books around and that sort of thing. And I would pick them up and sort of see, start reading little bits about, how animals were treated and how, the different sort of like free range and cage free and stuff really isn't any better for the animals. It kind of makes us feel better. But at the same time, the animals are, they're still dying in the end, and they're still not being treated fairly. And so I started to kind of learn all this. And then, as I mentioned, the food was getting quite expensive to buy that sort of stuff. So I started to just eat more vegetables naturally anyways. And I noticed that a lot of the health conditions that I had that I just thought were just part of my genetics. I thought they were just part of my makeup that I was always going to be stuck with. Things like stomach pains, which I'm going through right now, but I haven't for many, many years. But stomach pains, joint pain, acne, tiredness, brain fog, all that sort of stuff. It started to sort of just like lift away, and I started to feel a lot better. And I, quickly realized that it was because of this, my diet change. So I started to look into it a little bit more, and it really didn't take too much convincing from then on for me to realize that this is the way that we should be eating and living. So yeah, she was the real sort of motivator for me, and I'm not dating her anymore. That's a girlfriend I had in the past, but it's amazing how, these people, come into our lives, and sometimes we don't see, maybe how it really affects our future right then. But that girl that I dated there was, has totally shaped my life for forever. So I'm even though that relationship didn't work out, I'm forever thankful for it.
Nice, yeah, beautiful
Yeah.
story, and I can really relate to that. So how many years is that ago?
So that's probably almost 10 years ago now. But I have to admit, I haven't been vegan for that long because I did have some trouble transitioning at first. And because I did sort of make that, like I mentioned, it was sort of a gradual transition. once I was out of that sort of, once, we broke up and I moved back home and I lived with my family for a little while, and, different pressures sort of came in, and I was going out with friends and, that sort of stuff. And, it was only about, 1 or 2 years into my, plant-based eating. And, I just kind of, started to bring some of that food back into, the meat and stuff like that back into my life that, I didn't feel great about it, but it just sort of happened, it happens sometimes. So it was about a year or two of that. And then once I moved away from home again after that, I decided I'm not compromising my values anymore for anybody's convenience or any social events or anything like that. I'm just going to, stick to my guns and do this 100%. So it's been over 7 years now where,
Wow.
I've been completely vegan. But 10 since I started to transition. So, for anyone out there that's having trouble transitioning, it took me almost 3 years to fully do it. So.
Wow, but 7 years, that's really impressive. I brag like I'm vegan for over 4 years before it was cool, and you were vegan before they probably had the first plant milk in the store, so that's great. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And is it also in Canada that it got so much easier and more stuff available, like plant milks everywhere? And is it the same, or was it always the case?
Yeah, it seems like it's definitely becoming more and more popular now, and there's more plant milks. Yeah, you're exactly right. It definitely has. I didn't find it all that difficult at the beginning, because there were some like mock meats and that sort of stuff out at the time. But
The great thing is,
there is quite a bit of that sort of stuff here. But when I go to like the UK, for instance, they have a lot more like options than we have here, which seems strange. And then even America, they have just endless options for, the faux meats and all that type of stuff. But I don't really eat that, all that much, maybe once or twice a week. So it's not a big deal for me.
Yeah, and the great thing is that whole foods will always be available, like fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. But at the beginning, it's just great to have all these substitutes. And in Germany, it's crazy. When I started going vegan, there were hardly some options, and now it's in all stores, so many substitutes, and it's just incredible. So
Wow.
I really love to see how the movement is accelerating so quickly. So
Yeah, I'm all for it. Like, I think that's great. I think that people definitely need those transitional foods because we're so conditioned to be eating a certain way, that it's really hard for people to completely change their diet. So if you can kind of like, slip in some of those faux meats, then I think it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So then when you met your new girlfriend, which you have right now, I'm sorry, I can't think of her name right now. I feel so bad.
It's a Crystal. That's okay.
Crystal. Yeah, I love to see her in your Q&As, and she should totally start her own YouTube channel. She's just great in front of the camera.
Yeah, she is.
Did you veganize her, or was she already vegan? Would you like to tell that story quickly?
Yeah, I'll tell that story quickly. So we were both vegan when we met, and it was kind of funny. Right now I live on Vancouver Island, which is a big island off the coast of British Columbia, and I was living on the mainland in Vancouver. It's kind of confusing because Vancouver isn't on Vancouver Island. So I was living in Vancouver. Crystal was living here on the island, and we didn't know each other at the time, but we actually had mutual friends that were dating, and our friends were not vegan, but because I was the only vegan that my friend knew, and she was the only vegan that her friend knew. When they both found out that they knew vegans, they go, oh, we should meet you. We should set you guys up. You guys, you'd probably get along. And when I heard that from my friend, I just kind of like rolled my eyes. I'm like, it's like when people ask me if I know Dave in Canada. It's like, Canada doesn't necessarily know I'm going to meet him. So just because we're vegan, it doesn't mean we're going to get along. But I did. So he told me to check out her Instagram. So I went on, and this was before the DMs and all that stuff. So you had to be kind of strategic. And I went on and I saw her, and I was like, wow, she is absolutely beautiful. And I saw what she was all about, and she was into the veganism and all that. So after following her for a little while, and we were liking each other's pictures, back and forth, one day I just decided to message her on Facebook, and I found her, and it turned out we shared, sort of a mutual feeling for each other. And it's been history ever since. We've been together.
Beautiful. And then did you move into her place?
Right. Yeah. So what happened was she moved over because we were living so far apart. It's a 2-hour ferry ride, from the island to the mainland. we weren't getting to see each other that much. So she moved over there to live with me. That was the first time she'd ever lived sort of in the city. And we did that for a little while, but Vancouver's a really busy, expensive city, like so many of the big cities around the world. So we decided to, once my business sort of started to get hold, Simnett Nutrition, then we decided to move over here and live with their parents for a little while on Vancouver Island. And that's what really gave me the opportunity to build this up and to start my YouTube channel and everything. Because, you know, when you're working a full-time job and you're paying rent and everything, it's really hard to spend time on your passions or to develop anything else. So it was really, at the time I was working at a supplement store in the city, and I quit that job, and we just left and came over here, and we lived rent-free at her parents' house for a little while, which was like the best opportunity ever, because if we didn't get to do that, I don't know how I would have made it work. And I built up the business, and so we lived there for a little while. Then eventually her parents kicked us out, and we found a place, and now, we've been living here for a few years now.
Nice. Beautiful story. And do you prefer British Columbia, Vancouver Island, than the city, or what do you like more?
Yes. No, I completely prefer it over here. It's, the city is nice because you have all the options of, restaurants, and there's different, there's everything you can imagine. There's nightclubs and stuff. Even though I don't go to that, it's cool to have the option. Like I mentioned, it's really busy, and the traffic's really bad. It takes a long time to get anywhere. And over here on Vancouver Island, you've seen my videos. It's just all like nature and peaceful and quiet. So I thought I would miss the city a lot, because I've kind of always lived close to a city. And so in my head, I always, when I moved here, I said, I could always go back and live, or at least, visit for a day or 2 days here and there. And I've in the 3 years I've been living here, I think I've been back once. So nice. I don't miss it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. I've always lived in a city, but now I think I miss nature so much. That's why we will travel actually on Friday, a whole month to Austria, just in nature. Wow. And I bring everything, because my family has their vacation house. So this year I stacked it up with a squat rack, a barbell, and everything, so that I can have my proper home gym, because that was the one thing I was always missing when I was there. And I want to go home. And this time I bring everything I need with me, and just to see what do I actually miss from the city. Because I don't want to live in a city forever, and I just miss nature. That's why I'm like on a quest right now. Where's the best place to live? And now I will start to travel in the winter, because it gets nasty here in Berlin, in Canada too. And then just find a perfect place to live. In Canada, I don't know what fascinates me about Canada so much, but it's right at the top of the list, because I've been to Vancouver actually a couple of years ago. And,
cool.
and I love the city, but then we drove from Vancouver to Whistler. You probably know this place. And right there, just this nature, it's unbelievable for me, because it's untouched nature. Here in Germany, basically everything has been destroyed and reassembled, and it's not that nature that is untouched. And in Canada, those lakes, oh my gosh. So I fell in love with it. And that's why it's at the top of the list. And I want to ask you, because the only thing that holds me back is the winters. I heard they get depressing and long. So how do you bear the winters in Canada?
Right. Well, so Canada has, the climate's pretty cold in the winter, but it's much colder on the East Coast and in the center of the country than it is on the West Coast. Like, we have the most mild temperatures here on the West Coast. So while Whistler is quite a high elevation, so they get quite a bit of snow, and it's quite cold all winter long. But here, where I am in Parksville and even in Vancouver, it doesn't get below freezing for much of the winter. It's usually, between maybe 0 and 7 or 8 degrees Celsius for most of the winter. However, it's the rain that really gets to you. So we've had it so bad before, where it's rained for 35 days straight without any sun. Yeah. Like, you start building an ark, in your backyard, because you think you're gonna have to float away. So that's the only difficult part. So it's nice because you can still get out in the forest, and you can go for jogs, and you just have to dress a little bit warmer and wear a rain jacket. But not seeing the sky, the blue sky for a long time, for basically from September until almost April. It's pretty bad. Yeah.
So do you travel during the winter?
Well, last year we went to California. Yeah, we went to California twice. Yeah. And that's only a 2-hour flight south, which is really close. So yeah, we did. But I mean, in past years, I haven't been going away just because money has been tight. So this year we kind of put some money aside so that we could, because yeah, you start going a little bit crazy at the end of the winter.
And then the airport is at Vancouver, right? So you have to take a ferry off the island?
Well, there's a couple airports on the island here that you can just book through, and they're major airlines that run out of there, but they always fly you to Vancouver first, and then from Vancouver you go elsewhere. So it would be, yeah, it's definitely the most efficient way to do it. There are other ways. You could take a seaplane over to Vancouver Island, but then you're booking with another company, or you could take the ferry over there. But again, it's just way too time consuming. So yeah, there's just a couple airports, and you just book a tiny little plane out of there, and it's about a 12 or 15-minute flight over to Vancouver.
But it's a hassle, right? And you have to wait again, and
yeah, it is. So I go to I'm going to the Vegfest Bristol. It's coming up. It's this weekend actually. So the 20, I think it's the 26th and 27th, or 27th, 28th, and I will be going. Yeah. So what we have to do is we have to go from our house here. We travel down to a place called Nanaimo, which is just 45 minutes away. Then from there we take a short plane ride to Vancouver International Airport. Then from there we go to Germany, and then from Germany we're going to be there for a couple hours, and then back, and then over to Bristol.
Nice.
And so quite a few flights.
I guess Vancouver was more expensive where you live now, but how expensive is Vancouver or Vancouver Island where you live now to live? Yeah,
so I mean, I only really know it in our Canadian currency, right? But it's for it's a lot. Like you pay about $1,500 to or so, yeah, about $1,500, $1,000 to $1,500 for a small 1-bedroom. Yeah. So and where we are now, your dollar goes a little bit further. Where we have, we're in a split house, so we have half the house and a yard, and it's a 2-bedroom here. So we pay about $1,000 for that, and that's Canadian. So that would be, maybe about, I don't know what the current exchange is, but maybe around
that sounds all right. That sounds like average.
Yeah.
Not crazy,
I mean, it's not
expensive or not cheap as well.
No, exactly. But in Vancouver, as soon as you try and start finding like nicer places, then it gets really crazy expensive. And it's the most expensive housing market in Canada for sure, and one of the most in North America. Yeah.
Okay. So another thing on my list for my future dream place is like having a great grocery store, like in the United States, a Whole Food or a Trader Joe's. When I've been there, oh my gosh, the variety, and you find the coolest products, clean, salt-free, oil-free, and in Germany the stores are right, but you don't find like hummus without oil or tomato sauce without salt, and is it in Canada? Do you have like those stores like in the United States, like a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's?
Right. You have really unique questions. I like these. So in Canada, yes, we don't have Trader Joe's, but we definitely have Whole Foods. And we have pretty good grocery stores, but it's not the same as they have in the United States. They're not the same options.
But I
know what you mean though, with all the salt-free and the oil-free stuff. Like the last time I was down there, I found this granola that was it was Dr. McDougall granola actually, and it was like salt-free and oil-free granola, and it was so good. And you can't find anything like that up here.
Yeah, like those doctors, the plant-based doctors, they have their own brand, like the Engine 2 diet and McDougall.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, you're right. It was the Engine 2 diet granola. Yeah, that's what it was.
It's just incredible, and that's just something I would not like to miss, like I do now, because then Anyways, so the next question, because we jumped into traveling already, because I had it planned for later, but it just fitted in perfectly, and I love to be in the flow. So another question for Canada is, do you think you want to live for the rest of your life in Canada? And if not, what would be your top 3 places you could imagine yourself living?
Okay, good question. Yeah, so I haven't got to travel all that much. I have I've been to some tropical places and the UK, but I've never, I haven't got to visit like Bali or any of these other places, Thailand, those sorts of things. So I can't really speak on if I would ever want to live in those places. But I really like Canada. We have really good healthcare here, and our taxes are high and it's expensive to live, but the quality of life is really good and it's quite safe. So I think I can see myself living, at least having this as my main station for the remainder of my life. But I do think that I would like to spend some winters somewhere warmer. And Crystal and I, we've really, really fell in love with Venice Beach, which is really strange because, we like, I mean, if it's a beautiful place, but we like, quiet, and we like our privacy and like safety and those our space, and there it's quite different. But if you've ever been there, it's a really sort of has a really addicting feel to it, and you just want to spend so much time, at the beach and just in and around the community. So I think we'll definitely be spending more winters there in Venice Beach, and they have all those calisthenics parks like along the waterfront, all along the beach, which are just incredible. Like huge, basically big adult swing sets, and there's a whole community of people that that gather there every day and they practice their skills. So when we moved there, or when we went to visit there, and we saw everybody doing that, and everyone was just so free and friendly and all that. It was a really, really neat place to visit. But other than that, like I've been to the UK, I've been to London, and it's a really interesting city. But it's not somewhere that I would necessarily want to live. It's quite busy and fast paced, and it's not anything what I'm used to. So we're pretty happy here. I can't imagine living anywhere else.
Yeah, and there would be a great balance. Just enjoy it in the summer and travel in the winter. And for that part, LA is great. And I don't know if you know Jackson Foster, but he does a lot of vlogs there, and he always goes to those potlucks, which you just described. And it's incredible. The vegan scene in LA or Venice Beach, it's so big. But the big downside is the traffic. I think it's just horrible.
It is. I actually didn't see too much of it, but we didn't, we were just spending most of the time at the beach, and then, just taking Uber here and there at night. But I didn't see too much of the traffic, but I have heard that it's pretty bad. But yeah, funny that you mentioned Jackson, because when we were in LA, we met up with him quite a few times. And he's a great guy. Got really, really good vibes from Jackson. And he actually invited us up to his parents' place where he was staying. He was just kind of in between trips at the time. And he was staying there, and we got to go up, and his parents have like pretty nice place up in the hills, I guess you would say. And it was really cool to sort of experience that part of LA life, because we were only seeing our Airbnb near the beach, but I got to go and see his place and hang out with him and his dog, and that was very cool, especially because I was watching him on YouTube and following him long before I started my journey, or at least my journey on social media.
Yeah, he's a big inspiration for me too. I was recently on his podcast, and I love his podcast. And he's just I don't know if you know what he all did, but the cycling event he did, like, it's so unique. And now that he's in Mexico and building this farm, he gathers some great experience there, and I love to watch him. And in California, that's also on my list. Like, not in LA, because I don't like the traffic and I don't like too many people so close together. But California has so many national parks, and like in front of the national parks, they're like villages, and they're super beautiful. I've been there as well, and the weather just is there year round, perfect. Like, no rain, always 20 to 30 degrees, or 25 degrees. So for weather-wise, Canada is California is on top. So, but
it's the weather is the best there. Like, I couldn't believe we went, from here, we hadn't seen sun in months basically. And then we went there in the middle of the winter, and we just flew 2 hours south. Like, you hardly even got comfortable on the airplane. And then here we are. And we get out of the plane, and it's just like, it's like the best day that we would have in our summer here. And it was the middle of winter over there.
And like next year, you can visit other places in California, like the Yosemite National Park or other national parks, and they make cool vlogs. And I'm looking forward for that. So enough of that Canada and travel vlog. Sorry for those questions. But now I want to talk about training, because we two have a lot in common. We love whole food plant-based nutrition, we love nature, and we also love training, but different styles. And that is how I actually saw you for the first time. Just randomly, your transformation video popped up on YouTube, and I watched it, and I immediately subscribed, and I really liked it. A crazy transformation. So guys, watch it if you haven't. And it's I think over 300,000 views, so crazy. And you do calisthenics. So how did you get into calisthenics? And quickly, for people who are listening and don't really know what calisthenics is, could you quickly explain it?
Yeah, sure. You know, I don't know the exact definition of calisthenics, but it's basically just body weight exercises. So, you know, we all know like push-ups, pull-ups, dips, you know, body weight squats, pistol squats, all that type of stuff. But then even, you know, like handstands and all that, that's all considered sort of calisthenics. So by definition, it's just with your body weight, but I do add quite a bit of weight to my training, where I'll, you know, do weighted pull-ups, where I'll have like a belt around my waist, and I'll do pull-ups or dips like that. And I always get told in the comments section, it's not calisthenics unless it's body weight. So I don't know
really
what you would
to do to do the progressive overload to get stronger. So that's necessary. So great that you do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I found when I first started. It was I was quite lean and athletic, so doing pull-ups was you know, fairly easy for me at first. And I'd always just sort of climb trees and that, so it felt really good. So I started doing it sort of and applying, you know, the sort of bodybuilding sort of 10 reps, 3 sets, that sort of thing to it, just because I didn't really know anything else when I started. So okay, so to go back once. What was the question? Just so I answer.
So quickly you explained for the audience what is calisthenics. That's
what it was, yeah.
Perfectly, but how did you get actually into calisthenics?
Okay, perfect. So when I started to become a nutritionist, or at least I was telling people that, you know, I'm eating a plant-based diet, and I'm thinking of going to school to become a nutritionist, one of the sort of pushbacks that I was often met with was people saying, like, I don't want to you know, like, that diet might work for you, because I was a runner at the time, so I was quite lean, you know, but they'd often say, I want to gain some muscle. You know, I don't want to lose my muscle. I want to be strong. And so I realized really quickly that, like, this was going to be a big roadblock for me unless I, you know, put on some muscle in order to, you know, to spread this message better. I think it was going to be helpful for me, and at least with the demographic that I wanted to get to. And I want to put it out there that I don't think every vegan has to be muscular. I don't think every vegan has to be fit. You know, I don't think that's the only way to spread the vegan message, but that's the way that I felt that my skills were best used, and that I wanted to spread the message. So I just wanted to put that out there, because I think a lot of people often get, you know, sort of down, like, oh, you know, I have to be a fit vegan in order to spread the message. It's like, we all have special skills, and we all play like such a key role in this huge puzzle that we're trying to all put together.
And there's so many sports, and just find your passion, and just moving is so natural and feels great. And we need great examples in all sports, like be the most flexible vegan, be the most everything vegan, and be the best World of Warcraft player as well, vegan. So not everyone has to do sports, and not everyone has to build muscles, but it's just our passion, and it's great to combine your passion with activism.
Exactly. Yes. Perfect. Well said. So what happened was I'd start to go on trail runs. So I was really into that, and you know, I'd be thinking, because that's, you know, when you run, I don't know, at least I find it, I think a lot, and so I'd start thinking about that, like, you know, how am I going to start doing this, building muscle, and so, you know, I'd start seeing trees in the, you know, the park where I ran, or in the forest, and I'd start doing pull-ups. And then I remembered that we had a pull-up bar, like, you know, gathering dust at the house. So I kind of put that in one of those doorway ones. That's exactly how I started, was on the doorway pull-up bar. So I put that up, and I told myself every time I went underneath that doorway, I was going to do 10 pull-ups. Like, no matter if I had, you know, groceries in my hand, or if I had laundry in my hand, I'd put it down and I'd do 10 pull-ups. So, you know, between just sort of doing, like, going on runs and doing different pull-ups and looking for different workout stations, like, around town, and then doing that, I started to really, like, get stronger quite quicker, and I noticed my body was, like, changing and gaining more muscle, and my roommates started to notice, and were like, wow, Derek, like, this is really working for you. So it was really encouraging for me. So I started to look more into it, and learning, you know, more about progressive overload, like you mentioned, and just started to continue to push my body. and just challenge it. And really, it was really, really basic at first, like literally just push-ups, pull-ups, chin-ups, dips. Actually, I don't even think I had anywhere to do dips at the time, but there was a small workout station around town that I was able to do them there. And yeah, that's how I got started. And I just kept on, increasing my reps. And then when my reps would get really high, when I was able to do, 15 or 20 push-ups or 25 push-ups, then I thought, well, I should probably cut down these numbers a little bit. So I'd, make it difficult. I'd put, some weight or books or something in a backpack, and then I'd do push-ups like that. And I thought, well, I could probably do pull-ups with this on. So I started to do that and really enjoyed, having that really, having that challenge again. So that's basically how it started. And I just kind of fell in love with it. And it's funny that I've been a skateboarder all my life, and I've always really loved, I've loved that it's sort of really motivating or self-motivated. Like, it's not a coach that's telling you to get out there, and practice with your team or anything like that. And when you go out there, it's just you and the skateboard, and you just try and learn something new, and it feels so great when you do. And it's basically like, once I started to get into calisthenics, I realized it was so much like that, but just with like so much less danger and less rolled ankles, that it was, I felt right at home doing it. So it was like, okay, I want to learn how to do this. Like, I saw a guy doing a front lever. I didn't even know what that was. That's when you, for your viewers, when you're holding onto a bar and your body is horizontal to the ground. So you're kind of like floating midair kind of thing. And I was like, I want to learn that. So I started to, to practice towards that. And once I got it, it was like the best feeling. And I just knew that this was something that I wanted to do. So it's been a really fun journey. I've never really focused on getting like all the tricks and, becoming a gymnast or a street workout, professional or anything. It's just been like a good way for me to, stay mobile, be able to work out wherever I want, and just have fun with it. And I've gotten pretty good results from it as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
so sorry, just before, I should mention, like, I do also use weights as well. So I would say about half of my workouts, calisthenics based movements, and practicing different static holds like handstands, that sort of thing. And then the rest of the workout would be, pretty somewhat traditional with weights, where I'll use I'll do the bench press, or I'll do overhead press, tricep kickbacks, that sort of stuff.
And use the barbell and the machine to train your legs, probably, because it's just so much easier, right?
Legs?
Yeah.
Who trains legs? Yeah. Yeah, of course. I'll do really quickly I sort of started realizing that it was kind of hard for me to train my legs, to any sort of real significant degree with just calisthenics. So I started to do, squats and hill sprints. I would do jumping squats with barbells holding by my side.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah. So
yeah, I tried calisthenics too, and I really liked it. But weightlifting and bodybuilding is just more my passion, because it is a bit easier thing to have a structured plan, and it's just more fits better into my life. But I'm fascinated, and you really motivate me to when I see your stories. It just looks beautiful. It's a way of art, and the result is just a great body. So I do probably the reverse engineering, like what's his name, Ido Portal says, but you do it the right way. You just perform art and you get the nice body as a side effect, and I do the other way around. But just move, guys, and exercise and find your passion. That's why it's great. There's so many sports, and so many sports that all of you will find someone you like and be passionate about, and only because we move weights and get stronger. That's not for everyone. Just try different things and find your passions. But that's great that you're spreading the vegan message in the calisthenics movement so beautifully. And you mentioned skateboarding. Do you still skateboard?
Yeah, I definitely still skateboard, but not all that often, because it is kind of it's hard on our bodies, especially as we get older, and like my skill starts to go a little bit as well. I tend to not be able to sort of, my body doesn't hold up as well. So I've had a lot of problems with my ankles and skateboarding. I was pretty into it when I was young, and it's really hard on your body. So yeah, I've definitely done some serious ligament damage, and I have to be really careful now. So I'll use it maybe as a warm up before I go to the gym. If I'm feeling kind of down, and I want to have a fun warm up. There's a skateboard park right near the gym that I go to, so I'll roll around there a little bit, and it's really if you feel like a kid again. It's like getting on a bicycle. Like you just feel so fun and free, and it's just really cool. So
Nice.
yeah, I definitely still enjoy doing it, but I'm not getting any better.
Yeah, put it in your blogs. I would love to see you skateboard more.
Oh yeah, there's one. I think one of the ones in California I posted some skateboarding in, but yeah, I don't do too much of my vlogs, but I will this summer.
Because I recently got a question in my Ask Me Mondays about my hobbies besides sports and training, and then I told my viewers that my life was basically skateboarding and snowboarding when I was younger. I loved it, but then I started weightlifting and was passionate about it, and then I just stopped because the risk of injury was just too big, and I wanted to make progression in the squats and the compound movement so bad. And then I just, when you skateboard with the scary feeling like, oh, don't hurt yourself, then you just don't be in the flow state, like where you really be good, and then you hurt yourself even more often because you think and it will manifest. But I still love watching snowboarding and skateboarding, and I even have a mini ramp in Munich. That is where I come from, because when I was younger, I loved it so much, and my mother, she realized the stream, so I'm a really good mini ramp rider. And
no way.
Yeah, I practice it every night in my pajamas throughout until my brother kicked me out because it's too loud and you want to go to bed. And I have so many cool invented tricks which I did all there. And recently I was back in Munich and I just dropped in, and I haven't dropped in years. And it was like all coming back to me, those tricks naturally.
Wow.
And I'm like, dude, I missed it so much. And I wish I had a mini ramp, only a mini ramp, because I'm not a big street skater, but because I can do it so well in this flow state, it's just so nice. So yeah. Anyways,
I love mini ramp skateboarding as well. Yeah, it's neat to hear other people talk about skateboarding because you do get caught up in the passion of it. And I know skateboarding often gets like romanticized by people that do it, like and I think with so many sports, running it happens, but it's the runner's high. But skateboarders, I think especially, are kind of like overly passionate about this unique thing that, only we do and nobody else does. And people don't understand how good it feels. But there is something so special about skateboarding, like you mentioned. So it's cool to hear you be passionate about it as well.
Yes. And when I have a bigger home or something, or a garden, then I will build a mini ramp and starting getting into skateboarding again.
Awesome.
So back to training, because I wasn't done. I have a question about calisthenics, because it's so nice just to see the art of it, but how do you actually, or do you structure your training? Like, do you split it into muscle groups?
Right.
Or just train intuitively?
Good question. So when I started, I was just doing basically full body workouts. I wasn't doing anything, I didn't really know. I didn't really know of any sort of splits or anything like that. I was just kind of doing it on my own. So I just thought work out my whole body. And then if I was tired the next day, I wouldn't work out that day. And if I was feeling great, I'd work out again. And I did that for a little while. But then I started realizing I think there's going to be some benefits in just splitting up the muscle groups. So I've been doing a sort of variation of a push-pull leg split for a really long time now. And it's been working out pretty well for me, and I do really like doing that with calisthenics, because it's just easy for my mind to sort of structure. Like, I don't have to think like, okay, I'm going to work this specific muscle or these muscles today. I just think like, okay, pulling exercises. Like, what are a bunch of pulling exercises I could do? And generally with calisthenics, I find like you mentioned, it is harder to structure workouts. So I find with calisthenics, and especially like when I'm doing them at home. If I do like more circuits, I find that the workouts seem to go by a little bit quicker and I stay more motivated, circuits and supersets versus like, I guess a traditional style of just like 3 reps or 3 sets of, 10 to 12, 15 reps or whatever. So yeah. So, I mean, how else can I elaborate on it for you?
No, that was great. Push-pull legs. Have you tried an upper body, lower body split?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't done that.
Because here in Germany, we're like all about the science, and all the YouTubers started it because the science says it's in the best frequency of stimulating the muscles at a high
Right.
frequency of 2 to 3 times per week. And
Yep.
I just started an upper body, lower body split, I think 2 years ago, and I fell so in love with it because I also had this push-pull leg routine. But
Yep.
you should try it because you're like at your push day, you do one push exercise and then you're already pumped up, and then at the next exercise you lose so much performance and have to wait a long time. But if you do it antagonistically, like you do a push exercise and then a pull exercise,
Yep.
and you're completely fresh, and then for the next push exercise you're fresh again, and your training, as you said,
Yep.
is intensive and quicker, and and the pump is insane. So I really enjoyed that, and the frequency is high, and I make such good progression because when you look at the overall volume, because you're training the muscles more frequently, and your
Right.
performance is the best at the start, so you accumulate so much more volume, like tons. It's insane by doing fewer exercises, but just because you're so much stronger at the beginning, and that is when you set the good muscle the stimulus. Because
Right.
at the end, you're just moving glycogen when you just do too much, and you get weak, your performance decreases rapidly. And you should try it. Push pull. It's great. I want to never go back to push pull legs. I discussed
Cool.
this with John Venus as well. Yeah.
I'll talk. I'll see John on Thursday, so we'll talk about it. But you know what? I might definitely try it because I've been looking to change it up. I did change it up for a little while, where I tried to sort of like target, like, where on a push day I would decide to target like one set of pulling muscles as well. So I would do like a push day, but then I'd also do biceps. And then on the next day it would be like a pull day, and I might target shoulders. So I was hoping to get some sort of like overlap there, but then what I found really quickly was just like I was just overtraining, because on the the push day where I would hit my biceps, the next day would be a pull day.
Yes.
I'd be hitting my biceps again just naturally anyways, right? So the idea in my head was sort of like to grow those body parts, but in actuality, it didn't really help at all because the frequency, I think, was probably too high. So I went back to the push pull split that I was doing, but I'm into this, and I might give it a go.
That's why you have to adjust the volume, because you have to adjust all the factors. And my trainings, they mostly only take an hour, or not even, because I have a high frequency, and thus my volume is low, the exercise I do, that I be able to train frequency. But I wrote an ebook about it, and I can send you a copy soon when it's out. It's already done, so I can send it to you, where I link all the studies and explain it, like all the factors, like volume, intensity, frequency, how to adjust them, and maybe you get something out of it.
Cool.
Okay, so yeah, I sent it to you after the interview, and you just put it in the internet and copy it to everyone, and
of course,
just read it or not as you like. Another question: what are common training mistakes you see other people in the gym are doing, and that's probably a reason why they don't progress?
I think the one of the main ones is like training intensity. I feel like a lot of people don't train as hard as they think that they're training. Just spending lots of time on their phone in between sets, talking with people. That's the biggest thing, at least that I see at my gym. And then I think another common one is that people that try to either do calisthenics movements that are too difficult for them, so they're not really, performing the movement correctly, or they will just lift too much weight, and then they won't be going through a full range of motion. I think that those are kind of the biggest ones that I see.
Yeah, I see them as well. For the first one, not to have any prejudices, but that's just what I see, that girls, which I see, don't push that much. They could push so much further, and boys often, or guys, push often way too hard, and then, because often then also less is more, and if you just go to failure all the time, injure yourself, burn your central nervous system out, and you also don't progress. So I think girls in general, which I see, just could go a bit harder, and guys sometimes take one more rest day maybe. But yeah, that was great advice. And the last training question is, what's your favorite muscle to train?
Ooh, interesting, because my favorite muscle to train doesn't really match with like my favorite exercise. Like I think I would have to say that like a wide grip pull up is probably my absolute favorite movement to go through. It just feels so good, and you feel so strong. But I would have to say, like, I really think that like chest is my favorite to work out, like chest and shoulders, like just doing, dips and push-ups and that the feeling of the pump that you get from working your chest and shoulders. I don't think there's anything like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, your wide grip pull-ups are insane. You grip so wide. I tried it recently, and it's just completely different than normal pull-ups, and
Yeah.
I'm not good at them because I never trained them. But
Yeah.
it felt just good. Yeah.
Yeah, they feel good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any huge benefits to doing like super wide grip pull-ups versus just like a comfortable grip. But it feels good to me.
So studies show that the grip a bit further than shoulder wide is the best.
Is that right? Yeah.
Is where you are the strongest. So
Mm.
that is the strongest grip, and where you can move the most weights. That's why I have this
Right.
grip on my heavy day. But I like all three grip variation. I have a heavy, moderate, and easy day. And on the heavy day, I have this double overhand grip a bit further than shoulder wide apart. And then
Yep.
on my moderate training, the hammer grip, because I really love the hammer grip and the
Yes.
brachialis and how it just feels. And on my easy day, the chin up grip, and it's just the biceps involved. They're all great and just target different areas of the back. Okay, so now I jump into a couple more follower questions. Someone wants to know, Derek, what's your favorite Vivo Life product and why?
I'd have to say the Perform, the protein powder, the salted maca caramel.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably my favorite because, I was consuming protein powder before I started working with Vivo Life. So it's something that I'd always consumed, and once I tried that one, I was like, wow, this one, it digests better. I don't want to sell the thing on here, but it digested better than anything I'd ever tried before. It mixed up really nicely, and it was really like I said, easy on the digestion. It just tasted unbelievable, and it seems to go with so many different things. So that would probably be my favorite. And of course, I like to eat a lot of fruit, especially like during the day. I really love just eating tons and tons of fruit. But as you know, it's important that we get ample protein in order to build our muscles. So for me to be able to come home after my workout and have like a high protein smoothie bowl, that digests well, that I crave, that tastes really good. It's thirst quenching, full of nutrients. Is just absolutely perfect for me. I know a lot of people can go after a workout and have beans and chickpeas and quinoa and maybe some tempeh or something, but for me it's never really what I'm feeling like. So that's probably why that's my favorite product.
Yeah, same for me. Today after the gym I had a big smoothie bowl, just lots of fruits and veggies, and then one scoop of Vivo Life. I think today I had the acai blueberry. I can't decide yet which flavor I like the most because they're all great, and I just like to switch it up.
That one's really good. The acai blueberry really surprised me because I've never been a fan of anything that's berry flavored.
Me too,
I love berries, but anytime I've ever had any sort of, I don't know, anything that's really berry flavored, it just always tastes so artificial to me. But they really seem to nail it with that one.
Because they're using real natural foods and not like artificial nasty stuff, and that's why I love Vivo so much, the flavor, because it tastes natural, because I really don't like this artificial stuff, because I'm not hooked on it anymore. My taste buds get really clean, and when I taste something like other proteins with an artificial taste, I just dislike it, and that's why I love Vivo. It just adds a natural taste, and we're just selling it hard. But what's funny, when I had John Venus on the show, we just ended the podcast and then we continuously talked, and it was so great that I asked him, can I still put this in? And he said, yes, of course. And I put it in. And when we talked like offline, we talked about Vivo and just how great it is, and like selling it to one another, but not trying to influence anyone because it was like offline, but just because we really love the product. And that just means that you're really behind it and not like, oh, in front of the camera, look at this. No, I really believe in Vivo Life and what they do and the products. And it's for me not just a protein, but a real superfood. If you look at the ingredients, like the healthiest foods, like turmeric. If you look into turmeric, the research, Michael Greger says if there would be something like a super pill, it would be turmeric powder. And people just don't eat turmeric on a regular basis. So, but if they take a scoop Vivo, they have the turmeric in it. And also the healthiest herb, like peppermint, and then ginger, and those reishi mushrooms, and all like berries, powdered berries. So beetroots, it's crazy what they have. And then the taste, it just amazes me. How do you put so many whole foods together and it tastes great like that? But they just nailed it. So yeah, I'm so passionate to be part of the Vivo crew, and I cannot wait to meet you all probably in November. I think they have an event in London again. And
oh, great, yeah.
Yeah, and you will be there, right, too?
Yeah, so, I hope so.
Then I will meet you there the first time in person. I cannot wait. I meet then the whole crew. Nice.
That'll be amazing.
So when you travel to London soon, is that also a Vivo event, or what is that?
Yeah, it's for Vegfest Bristol. So it's the vegan, it's like Vegfest London, but it's the Bristol one. So
nice, and they have their own corner there or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They have definitely. Yeah, at the London Vegfest, like Vivo, they basically run the show there. Like it was unbelievable how the whole show was sort of like Vivo. We had our booth sort of in the center, and just the entire day, the crowds were just like swamped around us, coming. Like I couldn't believe how many people came to meet me, but then there was people, talking to John Venus and Nimai, and then everyone, they wanted to try the product because they'd heard about it.
Yeah, that is crazy because it's just a number, like you have 200,000 followers, but you can't really wrap your brain around it because we're not meant for that. It's just, we cannot think of so much, but then you go to an event and then crazy, every number is an actual person, and so that must be overwhelming for you because you have a much bigger audience. Next question, or do you wanted to say something?
No. It was the first time I'd ever seen sort of my, I don't want to say popularity, but my following materialize like that, because where I live here in Parksville, there's sort of not very many people, 10 to 12,000 people that sort of live around here in my city. So, occasionally I'll get recognized by somebody that's like, oh, I think I saw you on a YouTube video when you were showing like, this place in town or whatnot. And, it's like, it's cool when that happens. But then when I was at an event and, there was a lineup of people that just wanted to talk to me and tell me about how, they've, improved their health and how they're going vegan and how they've influenced their friends and family to do this. It was just like, it was overwhelming, but really, really motivating and inspiring, and just, helped me push even further.
200,000, that is a lot. I consider you a YouTube star because you definitely are. You have great views and just so many comments and engaging community and just such a loving community. So you build a great movement, and I love what you do. Enough of that cheesy talk. Next question. So this one is interesting. I hope you're ready for the question. Is he planning on having kids with his girlfriend anytime soon?
Good question. This one's come up a few times in our Ask Me Mondays, but we haven't answered it quite yet. It's for me, I'm sort of undecided on it because it's hard. It's really hard in this sort of day and age. Like I would really love to, but it's like, I don't know. Do we need more people, on this earth? Do I, is it that important that I bring somebody else into this earth? Will it sort of, hamper the progress that I want to make, in this world? But at the same time, I know it's sort of like, it's kind of the whole reason, why we're here is to sort of like, spread the seed. And it's a huge rite of passage in this, in this amazing life that we get to live. So I'm open to it. I'm definitely open to it. Crystal, she's a little younger than me. I'm 34 myself. Crystal's about, I think she's 28. I always get her age wrong, but she is maybe 29 now. I can't remember, but she's not quite as open to it. She doesn't see herself having kids. And the way that I see it is like I've found such like love and she's my kindred spirit. Like we are just like just go together so well that if I would rather be with her my whole life than to leave her and try and find somebody else and have children. That's kind of how I feel about it. So if she says no, not ever, then I'm more than happy to be with her for the rest of my life. However, if a time comes where she says this is what I want to do, then that's something that we'll consider then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate. I think so many people just get kids because of tradition, or that's what you're used to. But I consider it more like a selfish thing nowadays, because I could use my time to help so many people like you do. And if you just look at the numbers, how many resources it takes for a child, like it's not veganism. If a person goes vegan for his entire life, is not as much as birthing a child of the impact, if that makes sense. Mick the vegan, or Mike the vegan. Oh no, Mike, yes, or Mick.
Yep, I do the same thing.
Mick, I think Mick the vegan.
No, it's Mike. It's Mike, like a
microphone. Yes, Mike the vegan did a video about it, and right now I don't want kids because my time is just better spent. And I know the reality we are. If you go vegan, it's like waking into a nightmare. You see. It's not like waking up often, it's waking into a nightmare. You see the suffering, everything's going on. And the world we're living right now, I don't want to birth a child right now, because you have to take care of so many things that this whole system, like the school system, and that you really protect your child of all the bad stuff that is going on. That is a full-time job. And my time right now is better spent helping so many people that we live in a better society. And then when we do, then I can think about it. Right now I consider it as a selfish thing, like, having an excuse to do this, to carry for my child full time and stuff, social media and stuff. So, and right now I just love my freedom as well. So, but yeah, it's something I don't want right now, but it could always change. So I don't know, but you're kind of the same. So just go with the flow.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, when people do decide to have kids, and, John is going to have one, I think it's wonderful. Like, I have nothing, I don't think that, I don't have any ill thoughts about other people having babies at all. Just for myself.
I just talk out of my position right now, because first I want to, because a selfish thing, because first I want to build that I have a financial stability and stuff, that I even could provide a nice future for the baby. So but it's not on my mind right now. I'm a youngster and love to spread and live compassion, and just turn those beautiful babies that are already out there vegan, instead of just having another one. So because I think we have already so many people on this planet that maybe adoption or whatever, I don't know. So enough on this topic, because it's just not in my head right now and such a future topic. So let's go to the next follower question. Someone asked you, what's his thoughts about Tesla, and would he like to drive one in the future? The new Model 3 is actually not that expensive.
Right, okay. I'm fascinated by oh my gosh, I can't, why is his name Elon Musk? I was called him Tesla. That'll make me sound smart. Absolutely fascinated by him. And, when you just watching him, speak and interact and talk to interviewers, you can tell that he's on a whole other level, and it's really fascinating to me. So I love it. I love what he's doing. I think it's really, really cool. As far as like the Teslas, like, I've been a car guy since I was like a kid. I mean, I've always loved sports cars, loud sports cars, and I don't want to sound like like an American or like, I don't know. I don't want to put them down, but it's like of course I would drive one of those one day. They're amazing cars. But there's something about the combustible engine that still really turns me on. So
really?
I know that. Yeah, I know that it's a really old
gas and what it does to the environment. Like,
it's terrible. It's terrible. So of course, if things move that way, and the charging stations are around and they're convenient, and it's affordable, and the resources to use that and to keep it powered, are clearly a lot better than what we're doing now with our combustible engines, then yeah, of course that makes sense. The only reason it's hard for me to really think about right now is I love sports cars and fast cars. And
but they have the fastest cars. They're
faster. You're right. Yeah. The Teslas are almost faster than anything else. Any combustible.
You get in the new model. They bring out a sports car now. and I would consider the other cars a sports car too, like the Model S, but they bring out the Tesla Roadster soon, and that will be the fastest car on this planet. It's incredible. It hurts your neck when you just press the gas pedal.
Yeah, you're right. So, I've never been in one before, and I bet you my mind would change if I'd been in one. But yeah, I actually I've recently I've always had really practical cars all my life. I've always had economical Mazda Protege, and now I have a small SUV, but it's a Toyota and it's good on gas and that sort of stuff. I've recently purchased like a sports car from Japan, and it's being shipped here to Canada, and it's just something that I've always wanted to do since I was a young kid. I've always wanted to have like a Japanese sports car, so I did that recently, so I'm feeling a little guilty talking about this now.
No worries. But, when do you get it?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, actually, I haven't told anybody about this yet because it's not something I really want to like show on my channel. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden, I've become YouTube famous and I'm rich now and I bought this expensive sports car, because it's not like that at all. This was basically the most cost-effective way that I could get this car. But it's just a Nissan 350Z. So you guys might know it as the Fairlady Z in other countries, but it's just this two-seater Nissan sports car, and
nice.
and I'm pretty excited to get it over here.
Nice. I'll check it out. And I mean, if you just look at the numbers, all traffic combined is accountable for about 13% of greenhouse gas, and factory farming for about over 50%. So factory farming is the elephant in the room, and cars are just a minor part.
I mean, I should say I try to I ride my bike around town as much as I can, and of course I try and carpool, and I don't make trips if I don't have to, and that sort of thing. So I'm not just like, I'm not just driving around here burning gas in this, big American V8 doing burnouts at every stoplight or anything like that. But, sometimes we have to honor our passions in life and reward our hard work. So that's kind of what I've done here.
We do the best we can, still have living quality, and not focus on perfection, because there is no perfection. And the most effective thing you can do, and that has the most drastic impact, is going plant-based, because if you look at the numbers like Watch Conspiracy, it's insane, and it basically makes no difference if you stop watering your garden or take shorter showers, because you eat one hamburger and you could shower for 2 months every day for 4 minutes. That's how insane it is. You have to wrap your head around it. So it's just this little mouse pleasure, and that is the biggest thing by far you could do. So you're already doing super great, and by inspiring so many others, like, you're so in the green, you cannot imagine. Like, you can basically sit down back and you did your job basically already so much. So that's great. And it's just from my view, because I don't like the loud cars, because I moved to Berlin like 5 to 6 years ago, and I live close to a street. And it's just so annoying, because in Berlin there's so many sports cars, and they're super loud, and then all night like, and I'm riding my bicycle everywhere, and it's traffic a lot, and there's not so many bicycle roads, so you have to ride on the streets, and then I'm just annoyed by those loud cars and smelling there. Oh, it's just that's why I just love Tesla, because of this perspective. And I agree. I think our cities are too noisy, and a lot of cars are far too loud. Yeah, I'm not going to make my car obnoxiously loud or anything like that. I like to try and keep the peace. So it is more for a sort of a weekend thing. It's not like it's going I'm going to be commuting in this. But anyways, that's beside the point. Okay. Another question, which I didn't want to get in, but I got it 3 times, so I built it in, because I know you already answered it a couple of times, and you asked me Mondays, but I ask it anyways because so many people ask, where did he got his nutritionist degree from?
Sure. So it's not a degree. So I didn't go to like university to get it. I had been to post-secondary school. I went to college, but I studied public relations. So it's not nothing to do really with health and nutrition. But where I went to school was a place called the Institute of Holistic Nutrition, and that's in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's a Canadian school. There's a few of them across Canada, and they only do you have to do classroom hours, so you can't do it like with correspondence or online or anything like that. And I did it over the course of 2 years, and it's pretty intense, but it's a really, really cool, really neat school, and the education was just awesome. I was really happy with it. And because it's holistic nutrition, they take it's a holistic approach. So they take the whole body into account. So everything is connected. And not only is everything connected just in our whole body, but then we also talk about the health of the soil, and we talk, and then how that translates to the health of the planet, and of course, the health of us.
Nice. So there you have it, guys. And one more question before we come to the final question, which I ask my guest at the end, is do you watch a lot of YouTube yourself? And if you are, do you have a couple of channels that come to your mind right now which you like to watch? Because a lot of YouTube creators, I feel like they say, oh, I put so much YouTube content out, but I don't watch myself. But I'm a big YouTube lover. I love to watch YouTube. It's a passion of mine. Input and also output. But what about you?
Right. Yes, I definitely do. It's funny because I love watching like Mike the Vegan. Love watching his stuff. I like watching like Happy Healthy Vegan. For some reason, I just get a kick out of Angie and Ryan. I just really love those two. But I do get a little bit like I don't want to say sick of it, but I'm immersed in the sort of, veganism and health and nutrition so much that a lot of the YouTube channels that I watch are of different things. So a lot of them are skateboarding channels. There's one guy named John Hill who I was actually on his podcast, and I don't know if it's come out yet, but when I was in LA, I got to meet him, and I was on his podcast, and he's got a big channel, and he does really fun videos. He lives in New York now. He was living in California, but he goes around and does has different sort of adventures around the city and explores, but all the common thread is sort of like his, skateboarding, and then like positivity and, just kind of that sort of thing. So I really like his channel. And then I'll watch like car channels as well. Like I mentioned, I've just been obsessed with cars since I was younger, and there's some Teslas on there. But other than that, like there's not, of course I watch John Venus, I watch Nimai, and I watch Bianca and Maddie Limburner as well. I really like to keep up to date with all my friends, and your channel as well. But I don't watch as much sort of, health and nutrition stuff as I should. Of course, I guess it's just a given, nutrition facts, that sort of anything that the Physicians Committee.
Survival.
Yes, anything that the Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine puts out, Dr. Neil Barnard, anything like that. Of course, I watch those. But no, not too many other channels. Every once in a while, I'll pop into Durian Rider's channel just for a bit of entertainment and see what he's been up to. But that's about it.
And Vegan Gains, do you watch him?
Oh, yeah, I will watch him occasionally. Yeah, I like, his content's pretty good.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I watch it. I think that, it seems like, I don't know. I don't want to, say anything about him, but I feel like he has.
I think he's really important for the movement.
I think he's really important. I feel like he's sort of lost a little bit of his mojo, like with his videos. Like he's not quite as. I don't know. He's not. I just find like a couple of years ago there, he was really, really hammering things pretty hard and getting a lot of publicity sort of towards veganism. And he still gets tons and tons of views on his channel.
I think he has some private issues, like he's struggling a bit with depression and stuff, and figuring
that's
out life.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
still keeps it up.
Yeah, he does, and he gets so much criticism, and it seems like
so hard.
Things don't always go his way, and I can't say I've agreed with absolutely everything he's always said, but like you said, I think he's he's definitely a big player in the movement, and I think he brings a lot of attention towards it.
Yeah, I mean our feedback is like 95% overwhelming, and for him it's like 60% hate or even more, and the 5% hate I get is just it really hurts a bit, even though I don't let it come to me, but we're just emotional beings, and getting so much hate that must be hard. But I think he does such an important job, like all these outliers who sell supplements, make money with that, and fake promises, like talking about that, and those worst of the fitness industry. I loved that he exposed so many people, and just bullshit artists out there, and we need those people because it's a hard job. So I'm glad he does it.
I'm glad he does it. I don't want to have to do the drama thing. Myself, I'm not that great at it. And like you said, like it's funny, like, the few comments that you get that aren't nice seem to speak like a lot louder, you know, for whatever reason. That's just how our bodies are hardwired, whether it's a survival mechanism or whatnot. But you know, it definitely does. So yeah, to get as much as, you know, as he sort of does. But when you put yourself out there like that, you know, it's bound to happen.
Yeah. But so I'm like the same. I watch like half of my content like veganism or plant-based stuff, and then half of it just other stuff. Like recently I binge watched so much because I got my first drone, and how to fly, how to make shot cinematics, how to become a pilot, and at the same time turn your gimbal and everything, and then post-production, color grading and that stuff. And really watching a lot of stuff like Peter McKinnon and Maddie. I don't know if you, I love his content as well. Maddie, he's a friend of Peter. They both live in Toronto, and now they have a shared workplace. And Maddie just makes next level content about how to create content and make your vlogs cooler and stuff. So I love to improve there as well. Check out Maddie if you haven't. He's
I will.
Really, that's where Peter McKinnon got basically all his skills from. He's like the holy grail. He's really nice, so he knows what he does. And but you what drone do you have, by the way?
Oh, I have the DJI Spark.
Oh, no, the big one. Oh.
No, the Spark is the little.
The tiny one. Ah, okay.
The tiny one.
Yes.
Yeah, so it still does 1080, and it's got you know the gimbal and everything, and it looks great.
Yeah, it looks perfect. It looks perfect for YouTube. You don't need more.
No, that's why, you know, for me, the big thing with my whole, like, my setup is that, like, I would love to get, you know, the best of the best and, you know, this big equipment and all these mics and everything. But for me, it has to be, like, convenient, and it has to be easy. And I have to, you know, you have to be able to go out and vlog and throw everything into my backpack. And, you know, it's really easy for that stuff to get overcomplicated really quickly.
It needs to be practical. The best equipment you can have is which you actually use. And king is always content and providing value and being authentic. And if you does that and the quality and everything is just all right, then that's all what matters. And if you can just tweak it a bit, that's great. But practicality is always king. And if people ask me, oh, what do you use? Just start simple. Get an iPhone 7 or 8 and their camera is amazing. And you will figure out the stuff on the way. And it should never stress you out. So I recently got the Mavic Air. And I just love it. Oh my gosh. And soon, as I said, we will travel to Austria, because here in Berlin, we have so many laws and you basically cannot fly anywhere.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's incredible that all those laws, you just cannot fly anywhere. And it's frustrating. But soon we will travel to Austria and I make the most amazing shots. I think so. Probably I will crash it. I will see. But I'm just amazed of the technology, how stable it is. I cannot believe it that it got so good.
I know. I can't believe it either. It's when you put it up there and it just sits there and you don't have to do anything. You
totally trust, and it's so windy and everything. It just managed. And when I was a child, I was so into that, and I got those shitty remote control stuff, and it crashed always. And after a couple of days, it was useless. Yeah. And seeing that now, it just blows my head away, and I'm excited to use it now soon even more.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. Yeah, I've been thinking of bringing my drone to the UK, but at the same time, I know their laws are a little bit more strict there, and like I said, I want things to just be easy and simple, so I might leave it at home, but who knows? I may regret it once or twice when I'm there. But
also in the cities, like when you're really in the center, you cannot basically fly because of all the interference, and I think they maybe put even something in the air that you cannot fly there, because Berlin, like, everything has to be controlled and it's not allowed. So I tried it in the middle of Berlin, and it just, the signal was, I thought I would lose my drone because no signal whatsoever, basically. I don't know how it is in London, but that's a bit frustrating here in the city. But I got it anyways for traveling and more nature vlogs, because the city from above is nice, but nature is so much nicer. Like in Canada, how you present it, oh my gosh. And you're a good pilot. You do like those moves where you go backwards through the woods and so close to things. It's just, you're a good pilot.
Yeah, you get comfortable with it as things go. But yeah, that was actually sent to me by a viewer, by a follower.
Oh, really?
One day. They sent me an email and he said, I'm sending a package to your PO box, and I get t-shirts and stuff quite a bit, and so it wasn't anything unusual. But he said, this is a pretty expensive one, so I just want you to have the tracking number and let me know when it gets there. You might have to pay some duties on it, but he said you can pay if you want. You can pass the cost on to me. I'll pay for that because I don't want you to have to pay for this. And I thought, oh, okay, well, I don't know, whatever it is, I'll pay for the duties. Somebody's giving me a gift. I didn't mind. And then when I got there, the lady told me what the duties were. I was like, that's a lot of money for like, what's this package going to be? Like, how is the duty so expensive on this? And then I opened it and I just couldn't believe that somebody would spend their hard-earned money to send me that kind of gift. It was just unbelievable. So it's really come in handy. And that person who wishes to remain anonymous may even follow you as well. And it's been a really, really helpful for my videos, and almost sparked a bit of new life into my filming and creativity. So that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's really generous, and he got even something back of it. So it's just win-win, because he enjoys your vlogs now even more, and you Ask Me Mondays, because these little drone shots built in just brings it so to the next level, and a completely new perspective. Because down here, it looks great, but from seeing it from the bird eye, it's just another level.
Yeah, thanks, Ferdinand. Yeah, it really is. Cool.
Okay, so to capture not so much more of your time, the last 3 questions I ask all my interview guests. Are you ready?
Sure. I'm ready.
Okay, the first one is, what scares you?
What scares me is, like, and I just realized this sort of when I was sick here, is that, like, being alone, like not having somebody to care for you. Like when I was out on the couch, like just down and out, I couldn't do anything. It was the sickest I can ever remember being here, just a couple days ago. And I was so thankful to have, like, my girlfriend there to help take care of me, and just to be there and just to listen and to, like, acknowledge that I was, feeling the way that I would, even though she couldn't do much other than, kind of rub my back and get me water. I realized, like, how important that connection is, to have somebody. And, it doesn't necessarily have to be a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but just to have, somebody that cares for you, near you, not, just not necessarily living with you or whatever. But it really got me thinking about all the people, that live in this world with chronic diseases and chronic pain, and who don't have anybody, who's, maybe their husband or wife has passed away and they're living alone. And, it just got me really thinking about how hard that must be. And so, yeah, it really, that's the main thing that I can think about right now is, being alone.
That is a powerful thing. And if you have loved ones around you, you forget this aspect that so many people suffer being alone, having depressions, and just this excitement I get when my girlfriend is coming home and she hasn't been here for a long time. It's just great, and that many people don't have that. So that's why I find like-minded people and use like social media. It's a great tool. Like connecting with you right now, it makes me happy. It makes me feel connected. I know I will see you in a couple of months, and it warms my heart. It's cheesy as it sounds, but that's such a great tool. And you're on the other side of the world. You're woke up a couple of hours. You're still fasting probably, and your days kicks in. And here in Berlin, the sun got down during this interview, and I'm still standing here in darkness, and I'm going to bed soon. And this tool of social media, of the internet, connecting us right now, it's such a great, powerful tool. And we use it in such a positive way. And that's what everyone should do. Do it as it serves you, and it can serve you in a powerful way. Most people cannot even imagine.
Agreed.
Whew. Okay, cheesy talk, sorry.
No, I like it. You're passionate, man. This is great. You're a great podcaster. This is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't want to, keep it like the standard, like your resume, even we touched it, but what is really interesting, what I starve to know about you and my followers, and just unique questions that really peek out your personality, and just to have a nice chat with you, and people just can learn from both of us. And that's why I love this tool. I get so much from you. I have just a nice conversation with you, and so many people can benefit from both of us. And I learn from the feedback, and it's just the greatest cycle. So that's why I'm so passionate about podcasts. Okay, best advice you've ever received that you can think of right now?
The best advice that I've ever received. Well, okay. So as far as like me and my business and what's got me to where I am today, the best advice that I've ever got was, don't be afraid to find a niche, like a niche market. And that was what one of our professors told us when we left school. He said, a lot of you are going to want to go out there and you're going to want to just be general nutritionists and just help people get healthy. And that sounds all well and good, but he said you're going to have a really hard time sort of both finding clients, like, stimulating people's interest. Because if you just say, oh, I want to help people get healthy, then, people kind of look at that and it doesn't have any sort of personal attachment to them. But if you say, I want to help people get out of depression, through nutritional and lifestyle changes and lifestyle means, and that is your specialty, then all of a sudden you're going to have people that that see you and they go, that is the guy that's going to help me. He's the only guy that can help me. And then when they come to you, you already know the people that are going to be coming to you. You already know what your client's going to be like, and then you already have chances are you have the maybe work that you've already done for other clients that are going to be similar that you can then give to that person, or at least sort of not necessarily give it straight to them, but maybe use some of the sort of same things, maybe repurpose it a bit and use that for them. That's what I found when I first started was I wanted to, I was afraid to say that I was specializing in vegan nutrition. I wanted to just help people get healthy. And I thought maybe I could get some meat eaters that would come to me, and then I would just slowly transition them off meat. And that's how things would work. But I realized really quickly that's not how it's going to go. And once I started to just find my voice and say, I want to help people transition to a vegan diet. I want to help people succeed on a vegan diet. I want to help people, to help build muscle on a vegan diet. And this is exactly what I'm all about. I love calisthenics. I love nature. I love whole foods. Then all of a sudden I started getting clients that came to me. And the people that came to me, I knew exactly what they were going to be like before they came to me, because that's, what I was putting out there. I was kind of calling them to come to me. So, and that's how I started my YouTube channel. The whole reason I started it was to bring traffic towards my nutrition consulting services. And so, yeah, that's, long-winded, but that's what I would say is, like, if you have if you're starting something or you have a practice, don't be afraid to find a niche, because chances are there's going to be people out there that need your help.
That was great. And now when I think about it, it's like new niches pop up every day, because early in life, we basically had only a few options, or none. If you were a farmer at a small village, you did what your family did and stuff. But now new technology options, like a drone, you can become a pilot and offer that, and so many new things. So it's easier to find a niche, and it can be tough because it's such an information overflow to find something, but it's just so much. And that's why truly get in touch with what are your passions and combining these, and then you can just reveal the best potential. And that is a great advice. Yeah, finding a niche and not like, oh, I try to be liked by everyone and try to fit in and please everyone and do for everyone. No, find what you like, find your niche, follow that, and there will be so many like-minded people, and then you just love your job and find the right people and be unique and stand out. All right, that was great. And last question. What's the future of veganism?
Oh, the future of veganism. Well, I mean, I think we all can agree that it is definitely exploding right now. And I think for a long time it seemed like, paleo and that sort of diet, they had the microphone for a long time. And I feel like it's veganism's turn is really quickly approaching. There's still a lot of keto talk and that sort of stuff out there, but I really do feel that, this wave is the next, obviously the next big thing. I mean, everybody sees it everywhere. So, I only see it increasing and becoming more popular and becoming more common. That's the way I see it, for sure.
Yes, I see it the same. And it's funny, because you talk about the paleo movement here in Germany and in Berlin, we had the biggest paleo expo in the world, in Europe, and it doesn't exist since this year because there was no demand for it. But the vegan expo here in Berlin, it's so much bigger than the paleo was, and it gets so much bigger every year. It's incredible, and they're popping up like in every city, and more comes so, and it's just incredible to see this movement, because there's just a future behind it. I mean, you go keto, you go paleo, you feel great and lose a bit of weight in the first weeks, but then and your high blood pressure doesn't go away and all that stuff. But a plant-based diet just stops and reverses those chronic diseases, and it's incredible. Of course, people stick with that, and it's just
it's just attracting people. They wake up and they share it. They share it with the family. Hey, I got off my diabetes medicine and everything, and I'm cured. I don't have diabetes type 2 anymore. And they're like, crazy, I want the same, and sharing. And because it just works, it's not like this. Yeah, so that's a great view.
You're right, and I see it, with people all around me, and even my mother. She's recently gone towards a plant-based diet within the last few years, and she, effortlessly lost a bunch of weight. A bunch of her joint pain went away that she had. She had really, really terrible like acid reflux and GERD symptoms, where she was just afraid to go out for dinner with friends and all that. And she is like completely fine now, with like doesn't have any of those symptoms anymore. She's sleeping better. She used to have restless legs so much that she would, try and take medication and stuff for it. She sleeps through the night now. She's got more energy than she ever has. She's gone back to the gym. She's working out. This is a 70-year-old lady.
Nice. And for my mother, the same. My mother, she used to be really obese, and then she got more into plant-based and fasting, where she fasted every other day. And she lost over 50 kilograms, and it's just has a normal body now. It's in a great shape, and it's just incredible. And your family, because I was so amazed about John Venus' story, because his entire family is vegan. I was like, what? Best support ever. And
I know.
For you, is your family also, or you just explain it for your mother? But
just for my mother. I actually lost my father to cancer when I was 16. I was quite young.
Me too.
And oh, did you really?
Yeah, but I was only 4, so I didn't really notice it. So I didn't have a relationship.
Right. Oh man. So that was one of the. He was an Englishman, and he ate the typical sort of Englishman diet, lots of meat, and like Yorkshire pudding, and very little sort of in the way of vegetables, and almost no fruit. I can't ever imagine. I don't think I've ever remember seeing him ever have fruit. And this was one of my first introductions into how sort of health, or how our eating affects our health. Because when he got cancer, he first got esophageal cancer, and he was a drinker. He drank a lot of his life. And that's one of the very common sort of side effects from being a heavy alcohol drinker is that you can get esophageal cancer. Once that was removed, then shortly after that, within a month or two, they found that he had rectal cancer as well, like colon cancer, and that, as we know, highly associated with eating a lot of animal products, a lot of meat, a lot of red meat. And that's pretty much what he ate. So, once I started sort of reading those books that my girlfriend was leaving around, this was probably 5 or 6 years after he'd passed away. I started to kind of I started to make the connections. And then that's what really put it all into perspective and made it feel really real to me. So, unfortunately, I never had the chance to influence my father to make any, healthier decisions. But my mom, definitely. And then my sister and her her husband, they're interested in it, but they're not completely sold on it yet. They still, it's really hard. They have kids, and it's hard once you're stuck in those ways, and they don't have, I'm not there, they live in the other side of the country, so I'm not there, influencing them all the time, and they're going out for dinner with friends and going to barbecues and that. So, for them, it would take a big push for them to make the transition all the way. And hopefully it's not a health scare that does it for them.
But at least you got your mother on board. That's great to hear, and that she's doing so well. That really makes me happy.
Thank you.
And there was such a great episode. I feel kind of bad that I captured so much time from you, but it was just great, and I wanted to go with the flow, and it's a value overflow for people, and I think they will appreciate it so much. I got a lot out of this podcast, and I just loved this thought that it will be now internally in my podcast, because people go back in years and still listen to that, and it just makes me happy, because this is a really valuable podcast episode. And thank you for being so real and so authentic and answering all my questions. They might be really personal and stuff, but that just shows you that you have nothing to hide. Be authentic, be real, don't pretend like you're perfect or know everything. No, you're just here to learn and learn from others and just share. And you have a lot to share and inspire me a lot. And I'm so cheesy, sorry for the talk, but I just really appreciate what you do. Whew, okay, any last words you want to say?
No, no, likewise. Like I really appreciate what you're doing. Your message is really clear, really concise, obviously, science backed. And you obviously have the results to prove that it works as well. So, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing as well, because I really love what you're doing, and just hearing your like passion and everything. It's very rare that you get to hear especially men with our male bravado and stuff that talk about emotions and aren't afraid to gush like you are. So it's really refreshing. Nice to hear.
Thank you. And there you have it, guys. Another great interview, and I really loved this conversation. Derek is such a nice, authentic, real guy I can really relate to, and I got so cheesy in this podcast. I'm sorry, but I'm just an emotional guy, like we all are. We are emotional, sentient beings, and I have no problem showing that. Not like I feel like some people pretend to be a tough guy, but I'm an emotional being and have no problem showing that, but I'm still, in control of my emotions, and that I'm in control of my thoughts, and don't let my emotions guide me, because that can sometimes leads to a downhill spine and to depression. So it's great to be in charge of your emotions, but in tune with your emotions. Anyways, what am I talking here? This is a topic for another podcast. I end this here, and that was great. So go check Derek out. His YouTube channel is great. As I said, I really enjoy watching his Ask Me Mondays, and there you have it. He doesn't bother that I also do Ask Me Mondays. He even supports that, so I got that out of the way straight from the beginning. But I knew he would say that. But yeah, anyways, for those some little haters I have there who said, oh, you're copying him, blah blah. Stop, I hope you're still listening. Sorry, here's my future self, because I want to put something else in here, because this one moment where we talked about babies, I didn't feel like answering that right, and it could be understood wrong, because I said something like birthing a baby is like something selfish to do, but selfish is definitely not the right word, and I didn't meant it like that. It's just a topic where I really didn't thought about it at all much, because I'm feeling like it's not on my mind right now. I feel like way too young, and it's not, I'm working on myself, helping people, and I don't think it's a selfish thing. I just, you have to evaluate on your situation, and I of myself, I just don't feel in a position right now where it's on my mind. But I think it's so beautiful that other people like John Venus is getting a baby, and we talked about it in the podcast with John Venus, and they listened to how enthusiastic I was about it, because he will be such a great daddy and would be such a great baby and such a great family, and helping so many people that a baby can be healthy on a plant-based diet, and that's what we need more of, and that's why I love it. And it's not like, oh, he's getting a child. No, I love it. I love that we're getting plant-based babies and showing it, and more babies get plant-based, because they are our future, and we need children like that in the world. So please don't understand me wrong on this point. And I just wanted to clarify that, because this word selfish and that was not the right wording, and it's just something not on my mind, but I repeat myself now. I think you get it, and just make your own decision. Take care of your baby. Take care of yourself. Yourself always come first, because if you cannot take care of yourself, then you cannot take care of others. So take care of yourself first, and then of your family, of your surroundings. And anyways, I repeat myself, so I just wanted to build this in here, and I hope you still listen to that. Anyways, and I'm out. So now I will let my old self continue to make this outro. How awkward is that? Sorry for this confusion. And past self, on to you. Anyways, so it would mean the world to me if you could go to iTunes and give me a 5-star review. Just go to iTunes, Vegans Podcast, 5 stars, blah blah blah. The podcast with Derek was great. I highly recommend listening to that. And that's it. And it would help this podcast a lot to be exposed to so many more beautiful souls out there. Thank you. So thank you so much if you already did it. Thank you so much if you will do it. And thank you for just listening and choosing to listen to my podcast, where I have no doubt you get something valuable out of it in an entertaining way. And that is what I provide to you. So I end it here. Enough of that talk. Thanks for listening, guys. And I see you. No, I don't really see you. what is a good sentence to end this podcast? I always struggle because I don't see you. I just say until next time maybe, or I don't know, I just stop here. So thanks for listening. Until next time, peace out.